Hi.
Hey, hey
Hello?
David, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. If you're recording, then it's okay. If
Yes,
not,
yes,
it doesn't
don't
matter.
worry.
Did you read the Napoleon book?
Yes, but I have to be very honest with you. I probably can't remember anything from it off the top of my head right now, because for the last 2 weeks, I've only been listening to your Skull and Bones interview with Andreas.
Okay. Okay. Now the thing is, yeah, the way I've been writing my books, I started from the mud flood. And then I realized, yes, that there's thousands of people now making videos. For example, if you're inside Japan, there's hundreds of videos in Japan. Yes, about mud flood, New World Order, Illuminati. Yes, in Taiwan also they have their ones as well. Now, the thing is, if you check some of the Taiwanese videos, you'll notice that they're so professional, so organized, and the number of views, and then how it's searched on YouTube and Google and other web pages, Youku and other things, you'll know that they're organized by the people in power. I'm being serious to you.
Right?
It's not very difficult to guess. All you've got to do is use Google Translate, search for similar videos in Japan, in South Korea. Yeah, I'm being serious to you, and use their websites. Check in Malaysia, check in Indonesia.
I mean,
This is a global phenomenon, this Tartaria research. Like, that's why my Napoleon books translated in 30 languages.
it's very well
Yeah.
known that search results are changed and redacted. Even I think on any search engine today, you can go up to page 40 or 42 maybe, and then it just
It's not about the
stops.
numbers. There's
Yeah, yeah.
something else. I'll give you an
Yes,
example. If
yes.
you're going to search for Tartaria now, let's say on YouTube, the top videos that show up, you will notice the videos that they want at the
Of
top,
course,
or
yes, yes.
somebody that they
Especially
organize.
the last few weeks especially, there are like many, let's say, bogus videos or that just try to sneer at the
Yeah,
research.
all videos that they organized, or a video that they will like. That I've noticed that there's one video there with 500,000 views, and then the way that person is speaking, you can tell that they're talking in a certain way. I
Right.
know how the media operates. Now the thing is, Raphael, I don't speak to many people about my background. One, if it, yeah, the thing is that I don't speak about it is because my personal life is nothing to do with the books. Like, for example, what Fomenko does, Anatoly Fomenko, is nobody's business. Yes, it was suspicious how he got to the top in Moscow State University.
Right.
There was a lot of corruption then, but then you can. I know Manchester University very well. I'm in England, in Manchester. I know how the education system is run in England. Yes, I've been involved in that business. Yeah, it's corrupt as hell. I'm talking about the United Kingdom.
Right.
In Europe. Yeah, Manchester University, UCL, Oxford University, Cambridge. I know what's going on there. Student selection procedures, and how students are getting through on their
Especially at the
marks.
most
And
prestigious ones, no? Like Oxford, Harvard, and so on, the most popular ones.
no, no, no. I'm being serious in just average ones. Let's say
Right.
even what's that university called? The best one in Poland, next door to Hungary.
That one I don't know, honestly.
I forgot the name, but I'm being that's in just outside the European Union. They're corrupt. The universities in Frankfurt, Berlin, Dusseldorf, Paris, Marseille, all of them are corrupt. Now somebody's going to turn and say, "What's he talking about?" The procedures, and then how the students are getting there, how they're getting out. The entire system is corrupt. Yes.
Right. So what would you say? Because I've also noticed that, especially recently,
Why I'm saying it's corrupt, it's because one, it's based on a business, and two, it's based on an agenda.
right,
Yeah.
of course.
Now, for example, what people don't realize is that they're telling us, let's say on television, let's say in Britain, the Prime Minister will say, the country is doing very well at the moment. We've invited students to come and see how the British system is performing. I would like to notify the right honourable gentleman on the opposite side that we have now given student subsidies to students to come from another 20 nations, and now there's been an increase by 20,000 students. The way they talk, it's pathetic. Shall I tell you what's really going on? Yeah, they're bringing all these students, they're learning the economic system. Once they've learned, they will go back and they're going to create that system in the other parts of the world. That's why it's going to be one world order. Nobody realizes this.
Hasn't this even been known with Mao, for example, that he was trained in London or something, and many of those people?
Now the thing is, what people don't understand is before you get to Chairman Mao, the thing is, I wrote that book called Tatar City. That is very important. Yeah. Now, if you go through that book, you will see all the educational institutions, everything in countries like India and China. In that book, I give a specific example of China. The one for India, I haven't finished, and in the future, I'll do it on in South America. Almost all the universities, the libraries, all the books, everything. This this um this um this government that created itself from the Vatican, yes,
Right.
for 300-400 years ago, they've set this whole entire system up.
Yeah.
And these Vatican people, they were called the judges, Jew for short for judges, judiciary.
Judica, as you said in the interview, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, judica in Latin. Are you recording this?
Yes, yes, I'm recording, of course. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, of
that's
course.
good. Because then everybody will get to
Yes.
know. Now, the thing is, there is no way you are going to understand the old world order without seeing the new. So now there's the Napoleon Bonaparte book. In that book, I go through the life story, all the major events of Napoleon Bonaparte. Somebody can do a Google search and look through the top 10 or 20 events of Napoleon Bonaparte's life. Then they can do top 20 search of top 20 scandals or events during Donald Trump's administration in the United States. Or they could do a search of top 10 or 20 events of what happened in Adolf Hitler's time, and then compare the mathematics. And you will see the mathematics is the same in Adolf Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Donald Trump, or George Bush, or Bill Clinton, or Barack Obama. Now, do you know what this shows? It shows a mathematical order. Now, what people don't realize is that the word order specifically means an order. When somebody says in the universe, there's an order, we look for mathematics as proof. So now in this global world order or new world order that they've put there, believe it or not, they've mathematically arranged everything because everything's going along with the schedule and the timetable. And so everything is organized. Yes.
Yes, this is also how it makes sense that they often talk about astrologers and so on and all these events, that it's definitely, contrived and timed. But what I'd like to ask
It's
you,
nothing to do with astrology. I'm going to tell you now. You know, all these videos there online, I'll give you an example now. Imagine right now, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Let's say you want to get off with a girl and you say, hey, she's good looking. I like her. I'm going to buy her flowers. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and impress her. Whatever. Yeah. You make a plan. Yes.
Right.
So the thing is, you make a plan and then you'll turn around and think, hey, what sort of a plan are we going to make so that people can see the things from the other side of the world? Now, now I'm talking about 50 years ago or 70, 80 years ago. You've got people who are working for this global organization, yes, which is to do with the Vatican. Now, what they're going to do is, yeah, you will wait for, signs in the stars saying this plan is going to start right now, because you could be in the deserts of Turkestan. Turkestan is classified as Kazakhstan or Western China, so you could be in Western China and you've been told to do something on specific dates. So that's why you're going this is why people say it's astrology. Yes, this is why Fomenko showed through the astronomy charts and things like this that the falsified history, and they've used it as in a mathematical format, but it's nothing to do with they believe in astrology or they're worshipping astrology. These people don't care about anything. I'll give you an example now. Yeah, when we were younger, we knew. When you're at college and university and at high school, the local drug dealers and the local drug pushers. Yeah. And the 17, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds. At first they're selling, 5, 10 euros, 20 euros. But then these people grow richer in the community and you hear about them. And then you hear about their violence by the time they're 25 or 30. Then some of them end up in prison. Some of them, you turn and say, he's become a big shot. Yeah. Or he's become a gangster. So now the thing is, what people don't understand is the New World Order was set up by people who thought, I don't want to work. I want to do this. I want control of this, that, everything. Originally, there were people who were violent people who had their gangs. And this is what Fomenko points out, that the Pope, the Baba, yes, they were just a group of priests and judges. That's why they were called Jews for short, judges. And what these people did is that, what they did is that they made people bow down to them. Now, what many people don't know is that in Iran and in the Balkans and in Turkey and in the Middle East, there's many groups of Muslims in those regions, and they call themselves Levi or Levites or Alevi or Alawi or Shiites.
Yes, right.
And notice Levi, they're called Alevi in modern Turkish, or Alevi, a Levi. Yes, they bow down to their priests. You've got to bow down, like to the priests, men, women, children, and they're doing this in a lot of villages.
Is this
and
related
this is how
to
the Pope,
Sabbatas Levi, or what his name is, 1666 or something?
Before we get there, I'm trying to show the Pope. So this is how the Pope and the boys, they started to grow bigger, because originally they were just clerical people, administrators, somebody who's just doing your job. He's just doing a job. But then these people wanted power. Yes. So then they noticed that people were superstitious. They took advantage of these things, etc. So that's how the Pope. Right now, you can go to let's say Bulgaria. You can go to former Yugoslavia. There's many places there where they have their priests and they call them Baba or Papa. I'm being serious to you. And in Turkey, yeah.
I mean, even in Austria, you call them a father, or in English, father, father,
yeah. So I'm telling you how the Vatican set up. So you can still see this process happening right now, because the process started with with the priests, and then they slowly took over Eastern Europe, and then slowly the people had enough of religion, like what we're seeing in Iran right now. Yes, that when they get rid of Islam, they're going to totally get rid of it. And it's going to become like an atheist nation. But the thing is, the average person in Iran has never read the Quran. They don't even know what the Quran is. They just know their Baba system, the priests who are ruling. They call them Baba. They got to bow down to them and things like that, and other strange things. You can see the videos online.
And what would you say with the videos online? What are they trying to hide? Because they push a certain topics and not talk about other topics. Which ones would you say we should pay more attention to?
If you check Iran out, yes, and everything that's going through, you could start with the the Algiers Accords, and the Algiers Accords to do with the hostage taking and the storming of the US Embassy in the 70s. Everything has got the same mathematics that you will find in the New World Order system, that you will find it in in World War I, World War II, in the maths that I've put. And Fomenko's put some. Fomenko did maths, but he didn't write it in a simple way. He showed that they were using astrology with the sun and the moon, and the sun and the moon and the earth, they come together every 33 years. So he showed there's 33 and 330 multiplied by 10. But then there's the other one, the sun and the moon. They come back together to the same place every 19 years. Now, for whatever reason, yes, I don't know, Fomenko and his team didn't mention that.
Okay.
That Fomenko and his team, they went far enough. But for some reason, obviously, because he's in Moscow State University, he's in a place where you can't openly, because at that time as well, I would understand too, that it's difficult to openly and turn around and say, hey, Russia and Europe was Muslim. He didn't say that. Instead, he's saying, oh, they used Arabic coins, they used the Quran, they wrote Arabic everywhere. But
I mean, what you showed in the interview with Andreas, just everyone can look up the name of Mohammed in Kufik. I mean, this is pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I'm giving you what I'm talking about, Fomenko. Let me explain to you now. It's like if you go to the Czech Republic, the people are speaking Czech. Slovakia, they speak similar thing, very slight differences. The nationalists have tried to change the spelling a little. If you go to Germany, they're speaking German. If you go to France, they're speaking French. So now the thing is, Anatoly Fomenko, he showed something very big. He showed, hey, that people are writing Arabic and they're writing verses of the Quran on their swords and everywhere. And your sword is like your life, your protection.
Yeah.
So this shows what your religion was. but he wouldn't openly state, hey, it's simple, these people are Muslims.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. Now the thing is, he didn't go that far enough. But the thing is, I also didn't want to go. If you asked me that question 2 years ago, I would beat round the bush.
Uh-huh.
So this is why many people say that Fomenko, you know, um, either he was part of an agenda or he didn't go far enough. Like, for example, this Philip Druzhunin, he's a genuine guy. He did a lot of research on the mud flood. I think he's genuine anyway,
Hmm.
Philip
Yeah.
Druzhunin.
Yeah. I saw him.
Now,
Yeah.
the thing is that many American channels interviewed him, but I noticed that the people who were interviewing him, they had their agendas and they didn't pay attention
Of
to what he
course.
said. But anyway, he made a video and he's saying Fomenko and his team was suspicious. The thing is, Fomenko and his team, the thing is, I've been through their work and I've got no complaints because they showed that history is a lie. And then beside it, they showed their reconstruction and they stated that their reconstruction has question marks. In other words, they're not sure. So therefore, I don't see that as bad. Now, the thing is, it's like if I'm going to find in somebody's house, let's say there's a man and a woman who've died now, and I found their children only speak English, then I'm going to naturally say, hey, their parents were English. Now, if I don't admit that they're English and I say, maybe, then that means I'm hiding something, or I've got an agenda, or I'm afraid of something.
Right.
So now Flamenco, yes,
Yes.
he's
Yes.
turning around and saying in Venice, yes, the German soldiers who were coming to Venice and Austrian soldiers or from Northern Europe who are coming there to fight, they've got Arabic writing and verses of the Quran, etc., and all these things on their swords. And he's saying it's clear that Arabic was spoken in Germany, and these people have come. But he's not. It's like he's not going to say, "Oh, it's clear they're Muslims," which
Yeah.
is clear, but he's not going to say that.
I'd like to bring
Yes.
up just one
So,
very simple thing because this can even be looked up in mainstream media. I stumbled across this on
yeah,
Wikipedia of all places, looking at
yeah.
orphan trains. And here they say officially that many of these children then that wound up in New York or somewhere on the street, they were literally called street Arabs. Street Arabs. That's how
Ah,
they were
yes.
called.
Yeah, in my book Lemuria, I've put it like, for example, what do you call it? Yeah, in England, they called the people street Arabs or the rabble, or in Spanish and everywhere the people in power, they call them the people, they call them Arabels, or they call the, even without the streets, they call them arable workers working on the land,
Hmm.
Arabs. Yes.
I have
So
many more
Arab was
questions, but
actually,
I'd like you to go on. So,
yeah, Arab is not a race. Like today, they've made somebody think that
right.
Arab means that person over there. Like now, no matter what, if you told the people in England and saying there is no such word as English, yeah, you people are Anglia, Ang,
Right. A and E.
and
European,
yeah, they
Arabian. Yeah.
changed it. Yeah, they changed it to the letter E. Now, the nationalists here are going to say, no, 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 we're English. Now, if you go to France, there is some nationalists there. France doesn't have that much nationalism, and if you told them, hey, there is no such thing as French, that even the people in northern France who are related to the
Right.
Scandinavians, we cannot find a Frankish tribe. This history was invented. That
Also,
you
they
can't
speak
prove from.
very differently. There's high variations in French language even within it.
Oh, the French language. Now, the thing is, I told one person about languages now. Now, for example, um, if you go to Morocco in the villages where the people don't go to school, yes, then you in the mountain areas or in the deserts. Now, this is close to Europe, so this is very important. Now, what you will find, yeah, it will remind you of France just before World War One. That every village you went to, you could just go 4 or 5 kilometers and the people won't understand you.
Hmm.
That's it. That there's no such thing as a language that you could say the meaning of language has changed. Yes. our perception or how we see language are 100 years ago. France, somebody could turn around and say they had 1,000 languages or 1,000 dialects. So did Germany. And all the languages and everything that the people had, they had a common dialect or common something. Like, for example, you know, there's many French words, yeah, that sound very similar to Arabic. Yes, in modern French. But then if you go back to older French, let's say people turn around and said, you know, that away from Paris in Brittany or Aquitaine, you know, along the east, you know, near Toulouse and all these places in the villages, many people said, hey, these people, many of their words that that have survived, you know, in the 1980s, these words sound like Hebrew. But then nobody is checking. Hebrew was invented and just copied from Arabic in the 1880s.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we can't find any Hebrew artifacts in Europe, but in France, everywhere we can find, you know, Arabic writing, Arabic coins, Arabic this and that. And then they're just going to tell you something strange, saying, oh, they came from the Sahara Desert regions in Morocco, Algeria. It just sounds ridiculous. I don't know how or why people believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have. Yes.
Anyway, the important thing is in the Donald Trump book, yes, and in the Napoleon book, I've put down the mathematics in a very easy format so that anybody who goes through them will be able to see that everything is organized and that there is a global order. Yeah. Yes. And then when you see that there is a global order, you will soon the mathematics that you will find in Donald Trump's administration, or at that time, you will find the same mathematics in Iran, in France, in Israel, Germany, Russia, England, China, Japan, and you will think, damn, it doesn't matter where I go to, I'm finding the same thing. And then you could open up just 200 years ago, Napoleon Bonaparte, French Revolution, 1780s, and you will think, damn, what the hell is going on? This is 200 years ago. It's the same mathematics.
Yeah, because just like you said, one, they forged history, and two, they make events happen, and if they don't happen on the right day, they just later say it happened on that day. So that's how you can make sure.
Yes. Now the worst thing is that anybody who reads the Donald Trump book, and if they know the events that are going on in America, then they will soon realize and think, what the hell is this? There is no government here at all. All these people are just acting for somebody else who's in power. That there's a big organization or a big central government telling every single person what to do. Yeah. And then people know this at each level, and that's it. Or it's just a media show. It's actually that bad that you'll actually have to read the book yourself. You know, have you got the book in front of you?
I will open it up right now. 1 second.
Yeah, because if you
I got it here,
go through
it. So Y19.
Can I open my computer? Could you give me about 10 minutes?
Sure, it's as you like. We can continue in 10 minutes if you like.
Yeah, okay. 10 minutes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Hey, we are back.
Hello?
Hey.
Yes, it's connected. Well, anyway, yeah, it's the thing is, people can talk about history forever.
Right.
Now,
many years to talk about.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's just going to go on and on forever. So many videos, so many whatever. And the thing is, you know, people want proof. So when Anatoly Fomenko came along, yes, no matter what people say about him or what political agenda there might have been or what information he withheld, what he managed to do was actually prove beyond a reasonable doubt that history is a lie. It's a lie. Yes. And this creates a problem. So now if history is a lie, what is the truth? Yes.
Right.
Yes. So now the thing is, for example, there's the Library of Congress in the United States. There's Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris, you know, Berlin Museum, many places around the world. And they've got manuscripts, everything, and they're telling us these are historical, and from there we've got history, world history. I'm laughing because you know, it sounds ridiculous. They're telling us you know, for example, that they're telling us they found books from the the history of ancient Rome or ancient Greece, and they found it in the 16th, 17th century, and they said it's been missing for 1,000 years. Can you imagine right now if I turn around and said, hey, I found the missing manuscripts from ancient Antarctica. They've been missing for 1,000 years. Not just me, but let's say hundreds of people all over Europe suddenly say, we found all these manuscripts, and they suddenly start finding them now. And they're saying, oh, they've been missing for 1,000, 2,000 years.
How convenient.
What would that sound like to you?
Well, sounds very convenient to me.
Yeah, you know, and the thing, not convenient, it sounds like a joke.
And
so
even,
now,
even overall, if we look at documents, the farther back we go, the less documents we have, and we even have to call into question the whole idea about book printing and so on, that they say, oh, that's why there are no older books. To me, it's always been suspicious that there are so few documents from further back, and like no one was able to read or write, which seems strange to me.
Yeah. Now, what's even more suspicious is this. The thing is, we've got books printed in French, you know, during the Renaissance, but the people in France didn't speak French until the 20th century. Right. That sounds like a joke. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, it seemed like saying you've got all the books in Germany and in France and in England. They're all in Chinese and Japanese, but the people start speaking Chinese and Japanese, you know, 500 years later.
Yeah.
Yes. So now this means we've got a problem with all these people who are making videos saying, have a look at this, Tartaria, Napoleon, the comet, Moscow got burnt, blah, blah, blah.
Right. So of course we have to assume that this basically all information could potentially be forged if we cannot verify it ourselves.
Now the thing is, you've just quoted a verse from the Quran, by the way. Yes, maybe you don't know, but that's what the Quran actually tells you to do. Yes. Now the thing is, if all history is a lie, then the thing is, we've got a serious problem. Indeed. And what do we do now? The strange thing is this. Now, Anatoly Fomenko. Now, some people think that hey, David mentioned the Quran. I saw it in one of Andreas's comments in one of the videos a few weeks ago, saying, it's good that David's pointed this out, but you know, he's putting through the Quran. So now, let me tell you this. Now, the strange thing is, if we've got all these books, yes, and the thing is, nobody knows what's in these books, that every single book in or every manuscript in any side of the world, call it Vietnam, Thailand, India, or let's say in Iran, Persian books that they might say they found, or anything to do with ancient Greece, you've got to read them from scratch. Now, something strange happened in the world that we live in. Something strange has happened that we're talking about. You go to Siberia, you'll find Russians there. I'm not talking about Arabs or Iranians or Turks. There's Russians there, yeah, that are tall as hell. Yeah, some people will say half of them are Tatars, half of them are ethnic Russians, but there's no difference between any of them. Yeah, many of them actually look like ethnic Germans. I've been to see them. They look Germanic, blue eyes, things like that. You could go to Arkhangelsk and in northern Russia, or between Petersburg and Arkhangelsk, and you'll find these strange people there who call themselves Muslims. Yeah, and the thing is, they've got something that's very important. I'll explain why it's very important, because they've got a book. Yeah. They've been memorizing for centuries. That means that it doesn't matter if the paper manuscripts have got any differences anywhere, because their book is not on paper. Right. They're teaching it in villages. Yeah, you go to, let's say, Vietnam, yeah, the third world, yeah, where people didn't have paper in the 60s, 1920s. These people are passing down a historical book, saying you've got to remember this book because every book in the world is basically a lie. And this is what they're telling saying, and this is what the Quran says. It's saying these people are modifying history. They're writing garbage. They're lying about everything. They're modifying everything, and they're bringing out a big lie. The people in power, etc. So you've got to memorize this and keep it in your brain.
Yes.
What do you know? What this shows? That this shows that a new world order started a few centuries ago.
Right.
Now, from my research, I could trace back the Quran up to 300 years. Yeah. And I've noticed that you could go to, let's say, Tanzania in Africa. Yeah. Near the south of Africa, Tanzania or, South Africa. There's Muslims there that who've been there for 200 years. And you could go to northern Russia where there've been Muslims for centuries. God knows how long. And you'll find that they've memorized a book and it's exactly the same word for word. Now, for example, if you're going to write these words down, it's up to you how you write it. Like, for example, the word hello, I could write it in English with a H-E-L-O, one letter L, or I could write it H-E-L-L-O, double L, or I could write it Hola, H-O-L-A. It's the same word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, let's say, for example, right now, village people in Hungary, in the villages, they're trying to write something down in English, and they don't know English very well, and they just know the alphabet. Then somebody could write the word good morning like G-U-D, good, instead of G-O-O-D.
Right.
So it's up to you how you write it, but it doesn't mean that somebody wrote a different thing. Now, the Quran, the spelling differences, because the spelling differences, it means that you can, that the people who wrote down the manuscripts, it means that, let's say, if you went to find a manuscript in India, China, or Russia, or Spain, or France, or in England, or in, let's say, Mauritania, different parts of the world, or Saudi Arabia, you'll find these spelling differences. Yes. So this means that there's some people who are there, especially in America, where they came out in America and they claimed, hey, that according to this standard Arabic spelling, according to how the Americans have decided, yeah, based on the Arabic dictionaries in the United States, they're saying that the Quran has a code with the number 19. Have you come across this story?
Yes, right. I'm familiar with that idea. Yeah.
Yes. Now that idea drops dead the moment you look at the manuscripts. I had a look at them because I came across this. I came across this story more than 20 years ago, and then at that time I had a look at it and I thought, hey, it's just garbage. Somebody's done this on purpose. And then when you look at the number 19 and the way it's been used in many events, then you will realize that those people are trying to fit in,
right,
and put the spelling of the Quran within this formula. Yes. Now they've already done that with many other books anyway. So now they're trying to do with that with the Quran as well. Now many Muslims actually believe that this is true. And many non-Muslims who've been online actually believe what many of these websites say, and according to what these so-called researchers say. But it's because the average person, I've noticed that, after I read Fomenko's books, and I realized that I told many people to read Fomenko's books in the last 10, 20 years, and I realized people couldn't understand it. So the thing is, people
right,
can go on these websites and they'll say, hey, the Bible has got all these mathematical codes.
right, right.
Now, the thing is, if people don't understand basic mathematics and if you don't break things down in a simple fashion, then people will not be able to
But
see
the
if
other
there's
thing
any
is,
truth in it.
obviously, it has a mathematic code if it's built from mathematics, just like a template, or to skew it, or just like you said, to make it
Yes,
fit in. So that's another thing, that's deliberate, but
yes. Yeah, you can
from,
make something fit in like
yeah,
that. Yeah, it's like, for example, in the English alphabet, or in any language, you're writing in Hungarian or something, you could write a word and a single letter will be silent. For example, the word color In America, they write it C-O-L-O-R, color.
Right.
Now in English, they write it C-O-L-O-U-R, and they say the U is basically silent, but it's there. So now what these people did in America, well, they called them American Muslims, yeah, whoever they were working for, yes. And these people, they mysteriously found many silent letters, yes, and they said, hey, this forms a mathematical pattern, yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean
In the
this.
and
Yeah.
in a similar way that if you look at it in the 19th century, many of these so-called Bible mathematicians, yes, they found these silent letters in Greek or in Latin that showed that there was a mathematical code. Let me show you one of the biggest scams that if anybody looks up gematria online. For example, there is the word for Eve. You know the name Eve,
Right.
Adam and Eve. Yeah. So now the thing is, many people know about the number 19 and the way it's being used. So the thing is, check this out. Yeah. In the Hebrew language, yes, that in the Hebrew language, even if Hebrew is not modern, but more than half the people who classify themselves as Jewish by faith today will say the name of Eve in that language is Hawa or Hava, and that's why in Europe it becomes Heve or Eve or Eve. Yes, but now check this out. It's in the new book in Donald Trump that
Yeah.
they're saying that the name for Eve is spelled Chava, Chava. Yes, that they've just added it on so that then it could have, then it gives the word a gematria of 19,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because then then it gives Eve the gematria of 19. So it's like they've changed the spellings of many words on purpose so that they fit in with these things. So the people who did this, they spent years on it, centuries on it. You know, they had technology, they used it, and they did these things. So the thing is, people can go through these things and they won't find anything. But anyway, about the strange thing about the Quran is this: whoever organized the Quran knew that these people were hiding world history and modifying it. Now, those people must have been so clever because they told everybody memorize it.
Yeah.
Now, what is strange about this Quran is this, that it mentions history from many parts of the globe. Like, for example, there is a Hungarian man who's my friend, and he's on Facebook. I don't know him personally, but I noticed he goes on many Israeli blogs and Jewish blogs because he really thinks there is a Jewish conspiracy
Right.
or Judah is behind all this. So the thing is, I noticed many people were ignoring him, and actually many people were afraid, yes, of what his behavior is, and even looking at his photographs, many people thought he could be violent or something, and even a neo-Nazi. But then I added him on. I thought, I'll talk to him. Let me see if I could understand his motives and if I could reason with him.
Right.
Yes, and he's from a village in Hungary. He speaks Hungarian, and the thing is, there's many Hungarians who are not Christian, and they've been forced into Christianity only in the last 100 or 200 years, and they blame the Austrian Empire.
Right.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
or whoever the Austrian Empire was
Right.
working for, or whatever it was. Now, the thing is, in Hungary, they had, according to their history, they had a leader called Attila the HUN. In English, they pronounce it more with the T, Attila the HUN.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but that doesn't mean English is correct. So now in many villages in Hungary, now the history is dying because, when the world order came with the communists and everything, they were teaching everybody, oh, Attila, or Attila the HUN, yes, Hunnu. And that's why there is the Hunsrik Germans in South America, Hunnu, Huns, Hunsrik, yeah. The thing is, there isn't much difference between the Huns and the Germans, the Hunsrik Germans. They're basically the same thing. But the thing is, these, the the way these nationalists and everything changed everything and modified it. But anyway, I was talking to this man, and for me, he was turning around and saying, according to the history that they taught him in school, and now many people believe it in Hungary, is that Attila the Hun, he was great, and he was fighting against the church leaders, the Vatican, and all the rest. And then they poisoned him and killed him. And I said, who said they killed him? Do you believe their story? Where is this evidence? Yes, this is very serious. So now these things are important, because what is strange is that the Quran mentions Attila the Hun. This is very strange. So now when you look at the Huns and the Hunsrik, yes, Hunsrik is a combination of Hun and Zrik, yes, both of them together.
How is that spelled, please? How is that spelled?
You know, the Hunsrik in they're just all the Germans in Brazil and Argentina. Today they call them the Germans of South America. Yes, but they were all they called them Hunsrik 100 years ago, and then they said they spoke a language called Hunsrik. But if you check that language called Hunsrik, the people didn't even speak that language, because that language was standardized. Before that, they had many different dialects that we don't even know what their original language was. Now, the thing is, the story of Attila the Hun is very important, because the thing is, the Muslims can't even explain why it's in the Quran. Nobody's even talking about this. There's only a few. The Muslims have got it in their Quran, but they hardly ever speak about it, almost like it's a very small thing. But the thing is, it turns around and says in the Quran, saying that, you know, Attila the Hun, yes, you know, that the Quran actually calls him, you know, Attila-King, yes, and it says that he had two horns on his head, like the Vikings, and that's why in the Vikings they turn around and say Thor, Thor, or Tul. Yes, and that's why in Russia now they say Artush, because they brought Cyrillic or Cyrillic. Before that, it was Artul. Yes. So they put the letter S. Same like there is the name for Julie, and it becomes Julius when you add on Latin or Greek, or August or Augustus. Yes, or Damask becomes Damascus. Yes. So the thing is, Artush. So the thing is, we've got you know, Thor, who's a Viking. Yes, in Germany also. And the thing is, you've got Tul and Adil. The Arabs call him Adil today, the modern Arabs, but the Turks still call him something else. And then the thing is, anyway, he was a great leader, and he was fighting against the people in power. And the Quran speaks against about this man, and it turns around and says he had horns, yeah, like a Viking, and it says he was a man of God, and he wasn't a barbarian. Now the strange thing is, some of these people who have not been, who didn't have education in the schools during the communist times in the 60s, 70s, and 80s properly, they've still kept that tradition. And they say that Attila the Hun was chosen by God. Have you not heard these stories?
Not this one. The only thing it makes me think of is even in my school, which was this officially former Jesuit school, Akademisches Gymnasium in Vienna, even at the entrance hall, they actually have a statue of Moses that is also horned. That was the first thing I was thinking of now, why there are old depiction of Moses where he's horned. I don't know what this means.
Okay, now,
even in Japan,
now
one more thing, even in Japan today, from what I heard, when they marry, the woman is carrying some kind of thing on her head to officially supposedly hide her horns. So I don't know what to do with this.
Okay. Now the thing is, if anybody reads the Hebrew Bible, they will notice that you know, maybe 50%, maybe 70% it's Arabic words. And then the rest of it is in dialects of Arabic. Like you can turn around and say there's dialects of English, Canadian English, you know, English from Vancouver, English from Perth in Australia, or New Zealand dialect. So now the thing is, the word horns actually in Arabic or Hebrew is actually the word Quran. Yes. So
Okay.
now the thing is, yes. So now the thing is, when Moses came with a book from God, what they turn around and say is, you could check the modern official Hebrew in the Old Testament. It says he came with the Quran on in his head. So now they've translated this as he came with the light in his head, or he
Yeah.
came with the horns
Halo.
on his head.
Now it's a halo. No.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but the horns, I'm talking about the
Yes.
horns,
Yes.
because the word, when it says in the modern in the Quran, I'm saying, yeah, I'm saying modern because it's the most recent of all these Abrahamic religions.
Right.
When it gives the name for Attila the Hun, it calls him Adila Khan, Karanan, or Karanan, depending on how they pronounce it. Yes. So the thing is, Karan. So now the thing is, Karan and Quran is the same word. It means similar, depending on how you pronounce it. Same like God and good.
Yes.
It's a
Right.
similar word. The word God is God, and the word good is something is good. So from there, what are many of these so-called translators have done, yeah, when they invented the Hebrew dictionaries or made their own meanings, yes, they tried to say Moses came with horns in his head from
Mm-hmm.
God. But anybody who's got a bit of a brain, it's not too difficult, because the story is Moses claimed that he came with a book from
Right.
God, or
Right.
an oral book.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So the thing is, yeah, an oral book, the word oral book in Hebrew and in Arabic is actually Quran, something that you read. Yes, that's why we've got the word the chronicle.
Right.
Yes,
Like also like
the
you said,
English
Kara
chronicle.
from read from your last interview, Kara reading.
Yes.
So Quran to read, and it also is, and horns is just the definition they kind of made up or switched around to.
No. It's because it's a similar word in the
Okay.
Arabic
Mm-hmm.
language.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
means once again, if they've made the statue of
Okay,
Moses
so
with the
just a
horns,
deliberate
like
mistranslation.
Michelangelo has done.
A
Yeah.
deliberate
So once
mistranslation.
again, we
Uh-huh.
have a problem. It means that once again, this idea came from the Arabic language once again. Yes, it means we
Yeah.
must go back to Arabic just to understand it, because the word Quran and Quran, yes, one of them means horns in your head, and the other one means a recital book that you've memorized in
Uh-huh.
your head.
Uh-huh. 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 I
You
see.
see.
I see. Yes. Mm.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
so
Mm-hmm.
when they put the horns there 300-400 years ago, it means that at that time, people in Europe must have known what that meant. And the word Haran comes from the word Haran. Yes, Dul Haran. Attila the Hun. Han, the word Hun, Hungary, Haran, horns, because they're the descendant of the Vikings with the two horns on their heads. You
Mm-hmm.
see?
Mm-hmm.
You see? The
Okay.
word horn, and then Hunnu, Hungary, Hunka, Polska, Magyarska. Yeah, the word ka means like people or house
Yes.
or group, like my family house. Yeah, so Hunka, so they are the Hunnu people, horn. So the word horn comes from the Arabic word Haran. Yes, it's difficult to pronounce this Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Haran. Yeah. So the thing is, these people that they became so great. That's why they were soon called Khans or kings.
Yes.
That's why in Europe they call them kings. That's why when they came from the Northmen, they formed the Holy Roman Empire and all these other things, and they used Arabic. Yes.
Okay, so just to be clear, because we also saw the swastika even on Nordic clothing and, Russian and everywhere, but this would mean that historically the horns were used as an allegory when they were still understanding that this is a reference to the Quran or this type of knowledge as well, or religion, and then
Now the thing is,
obfuscated later.
yeah, about the horns. The question that you've asked, I don't know, but what I do know is that Attila the Hun, he had these horns, and he was a Viking. But they're trying to claim, yes, because they say he came from the east. But what do they say about the Vikings? The Vikings
North.
came
No.
from the north and
Yeah.
the east, and the barbarians that they migrated
Also.
from east to
Yeah.
west. Yes. Yeah, but no, that they've tried to show that Attila the Hun, he was a Mongol or whatever. But you go to Hungary, you go to Budapest, and then you turn around and say, look at the people, and you think, I don't see any similarity between Mongols and South Koreans, Japanese or Taiwanese or Chinese, and people in Hungary. Now there are some village people, yes, when
Yeah.
Asians came to Europe, yes, in Hungary, but
Even
then you
now,
could turn around and say,
there's many Chinese in Budapest now on the markets too.
yeah,
They
yeah.
re-immigrated or
So,
something.
so it is a lie when they're saying Attila the Hun was small and he had small eyes and things like this and whatever. It's just a lie. And then they're saying they killed him. They're dreaming. These people are dreaming. They made this history because they wanted to show, hey, your great leader came, but he couldn't defeat us.
Right,
No, they were defeated.
right.
Yes, but I'm saying this from history, from the opposition.
Yeah,
Now the thing is, the thing is, in Hungary there is a lot of politics. So what they tried to do was they tried to mix Nazism with Hungarian history and everything, so that and everything they've totally confused it. Or if the Hungarians, can you imagine if the Hungarians ever read the Quran?
yeah.
Half the Hungarian people know that something is wrong with the history.
Just let me
They
point out
know.
just briefly, I mean, especially with Hungary, even in official history has been maligned, fascism, then communism, then back again, and this and that. And even now in the European Union, they are kind of like an outcast. But I'm pretty sure from everything that I've seen, their leaders still always talk about Catholic values. So even though they appear like an
Yeah.
opposition, they're still playing into the same game of
There
Catholicism.
is no leaders in Hungary. What to do is read the book Donald Trump, and then you will
Hmm.
soon realize that all these nation states, none of these leaders, there's nothing there. That when you get to this, you are going to think, what the hell is going on? Soon you will figure out why they have political parties and why you must join a political party. And then you will understand like why they created Jobbik or Jobbik.
You're big,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah.
created it because they knew that at that time after the fall of communism, yes, same like when
Yes,
Anatoly
because it,
Fomenko
it, it
started
was
writing.
founded even at the beginning, just when it fell. Already Viktor Orban was running
Yes,
around.
I will
So
explain to
the
you. I
start
will
is, yeah.
explain to you now why Fomenko started writing at the same time. Yeah, so it helps if you know globally. So what happened is when communism fell, the people thought this is our other chance to bring back and go back to our original. And all they know is that many people in the villages who are not infected by the education in the cities, the people who are in the cities think I've got, at that time, only a small minority went to university. They thought I'm better than everybody
Right.
else. I graduated at university. I'm going to try and get into the European Union. I remember those times in the 1990s.
Yeah.
I remember how those people thought they were clever, and they thought these village people are backwards. Yeah,
Of course,
because
yes.
many of them rejected Christianity,
Yes.
and there was a huge movement. Yeah, up to half the people who were saying there's something wrong. Our history, and we had a great leader called Attila, that
Hmm.
he's so important to us that it's something to do with God, and the people knew this. Yes, because they could remember it from their grandparents who were still people who were alive in the 80s and 90s.
Hmm.
Their grandparents were alive in the late 19th century who kept this history and said, hey, you've got to keep this history alive. Now it's slowly dying. People are going to school in the cities as the European Union project is growing bigger in the East. And now many people think it's just a myth. It's a legend. There's no proper evidence of Attila the Hun. The so-called cup that he had and the table, all of it is a joke.
What
Many
would be
people
your
think
estimate as
this.
to when Attila the Hun may have lived? Only like 150 years ago,
Estimate is it
200 years?
estimate? I don't know, but it turned around and says that I wrote this in one of my books. I've forgotten which one. Atlantis, I think it is. Yeah. Well, anyway, I gave it this guy, and the thing is, when I spoke to that guy, I actually turned around and thought, hey, what they've done in Hungary is this: they've made sure that they put modern anti-Semitism
Yes, yes.
inside Jobbik and all
Yes.
these movements
Yes, of course.
because they want the people to think, hey, the Judah that was in the Holy Roman Empire, the judiciary and the judges and the priests were the judges. and they used to wear the kippah. Yes, they were judges, made judgments, kill him, turn him into a slave, beat them up, bring that girl here, I'm having her, she's good looking, or she's ugly, throw her out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
these old people are useless, give them no food, force them to work here like dogs, tell them to do mining here, this, that, or send their children. We've just sold their children to a company in, Holland, shipping them to America, put them on the trains. This is what the Austro-Hungarian Empire was doing. Yes?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
So the thing, so the thing is, when Jobbik formed, the people knew it was the judges, but they don't know that there's another type. It's like, for example, the word English, there's several types. Yes, many types. You could come to England and you will see, hey, there's the Prime Minister. He's Indian, but he's English. Then you could see,
Yeah, by now it's a complete joke.
yeah,
Yeah. Right.
yeah. Actually, you might not believe it. I don't follow politics. I didn't even know that Boris Johnson had gone.
Yeah,
Then I
yeah.
didn't even know they had a woman in between. Then I didn't even know he was the Prime Minister. I didn't even know the Queen was dead. Somebody sent me a message on WhatsApp saying, yeah, it's because I don't follow all these, half these things.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
superficial, yeah.
yeah. So the thing is, you could go to there's places in London where you'll see people from Africa. So the word English can mean many things. Yeah. So what was I going to say? Yes. So now the word, if anybody reads the Quran, it shows that there's two types of Jews. Now, all the translations of the Quran in all the languages outside Arabic, yes, does not differentiate between the two types.
Oh, how convenient, yes.
Yes.
So no
Yeah.
differentiation
One is
between
that,
the Jewish religion, modern Jewish religion, and the Judica
yeah,
as it
and the
is
modern Jewish
historic.
religion is not even old.
Right,
The thing,
right.
the thing is, many of the Jewish people are there's people who were turning around and saying, they're Ashkenazim Jews, they're from the Khazars and everything.
Right.
And people are saying there's no evidence that those are the children of Israel. How do they know? It's like people will turn around and say, hey, the Hungarians, many of these people in the villages, they've kept a tradition, but because they didn't keep the oral tradition, they've lost half the history. So
Yeah.
when they went to school, they were told Attila the Hun died. I hope that this gets translated into Hungarian, because I felt sorry for that man. Yes, when I thought, hey, he's been brainwashed into thinking that Judah, yes, is actually Jude, or the people who are classified as Jewish
Right.
today.
It's a
Yes.
misunderstanding, but can you maybe also
Yes.
explain then what would you say, just to be clear, I have some ideas of what you're referring to, but how would you say that he did not die or did not die then or that they won? Can you maybe briefly explain this?
Because I will give you an example now. What are the documents we've got to know of Hungarian history? Who wrote them? When were they written? Yes, these are serious questions. I'll give you an example now. Imagine if I throw you out of your house, I'm in there for 100 years. Do you think you'll come back after 100 years to find any books that you left there 100 years ago?
Unlikely, yeah.
Yeah, so this so-called Austrian Habsburg Empire, I've written about them in Skull and Bones, what they represent. Yeah, with the Vatican, they were the Vatican's best friends. They are the Vatican. Yeah, and these people, they were inside all the buildings, all the libraries, everything in Budapest and all over Hungary. Yes, wherever you went, yeah, for minimum for 100 years through the full 19th century. What do you think they did to the books? So the only history people have got is the oral tradition, and from the oral tradition, they slowly told people, "We killed him. He didn't win in the end. He fought against the world order, but he lost like a dog." This is what they've said. But now,
right,
if Attila the Hun, yes, the way the people could remember him saying, he went all over the world, that people can remember that they couldn't hide this history saying he went to the other side of the world. That's why they said Attila the Hun, he came with his men from Asia and he went Northern Europe, he went to Italy, he attacked, Constantinople. Yeah, so this means that we're talking about a major international person. So now the thing is, let's look for his history in places where the world order doesn't control. Where is that? In the deserts and the mountains? Let's just cross the border from Hungary and just go to Serbia in the mountains. You know, that after Niš and after Belgrade, there's Novi Bazar. They're Serbians, but the thing is, they're all mysteriously Muslim and they've memorized a book for a few centuries in the mountains that even the Serbian government can't control them today. I've noticed they're coming down from the mountains and they've started building a few settlements and towns in the last 40, 50 years.
Just because you say deserts again, and I can so well imagine this, have you perchance ever read Frank Herbert's Dune? Because there's so many things that remind me of this story that I'm wondering if he also knew a part of this story, where basically they have an ancestor religion. He calls it Sensuni, like, in the desert regions, on Arrakis. I don't know. Have you ever read Dune? Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not
Okay.
familiar with it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
anyway, yeah, about Attila the Hun. I'm saying just crossing the border to Croatia on the other side, or Slovenia, where there's Muslims. Yeah. And these Muslims survived because Yugoslavia was poor. Yes, and they hid it, and they've got it down. They're saying, "Oh no, Attila the Hun, they didn't kill him. Are they dreaming?" Yes, so it means that how can it be that on the other side of the border, yes, that you've got people there just on the other side of the Hungarian border who are saying, "No, Attila the Hun, they couldn't kill him. That this was a man of God, and he was like a hero." Yes, he had his horns, and his army. He fought against the Gog and the Magog. I forgot what the Quran says, but the Quran says, he was, I think it says he fought
But
against the Gog
then
and the
just
Magog.
to be very clear, then what would you say was the victory? You mentioned in your Skull and Bones interview with Andreas that the victory may have been that the practice, let's say the common practice of cannibalism or whatever, at least had to be veiled. Or how would you describe that victory? Because now I would say, well, me now in Austria and Vienna, I'm living in, let's say, a system
Okay.
that's much more suppressive than I'd like, let's just put it mildly. And
Okay.
why? Why am I not
Okay.
liberated, let's say?
Now the definition of victory. I'll give you an example now. Now the Quran actually says that the people who are in power, the bad people, God selected them. God put them there because God wants to see what you are going to do.
Nice.
Yes.
I like a
And
challenge.
the thing is,
That's
and
great.
God wants to see, yes, God wants to see if you are afraid of them or if you have self-confidence in yourself, and if you believe in yourself, and if you believe in God. So this is something to see if you're worthy. Yes. So you will find this story in the story of King Arthur and the Holy Grail, or King Adul and the Holy Grail, or King Attila and the Holy Grail, because Attila has the cup, or the Holy Grail. He has the cup. Yeah, and he drinks from that cup. So the thing is, what is the victory? The victory is the world order has not won. People are saying it won. Now the thing is, I've not put this down in my books, but read that Napoleon book again. The thing is, according to the world order, when they arrived in Moscow, the city was empty. And then there's another reason why you'll find.
Oh no, where did they go? If it was already empty, can you tell me? I have some
And
suspicion.
many of the cities,
Oh no.
there's many cities that have no people in many photographs. Okay, now the
So
thing
they
is,
fled? Would
I
you say
don't
they
remember
fled before they escaped somewhere else? Not on the
who
map?
said they fled. What if they evacuated
Right.
and they did something else? Like I'll tell you something now. The thing is, the thing is, the Muslims say it was God. Yes, but because I'm doing research here, I'm not going to take sides. Like, for example, I'm not going to hide it. I've told Andreas before that there are French and German researchers who claim, who say, or who they think that King Solomon wrote the Quran. There are researchers, and they try to present their evidence. But then there's the other people who try to present their evidence that Moses wrote the Quran. Yes, or other people who present evidence saying that Jesus Christ actually brought the Quran or wrote it. But the thing is, as a researcher, I'm not going to hide this information to push forward my agenda. Yeah. So now the victory is this. Yeah, I'll give you an example. The people in power have written all these manuscripts and thousands of books and thousands of whatever. And at the end of the day, there is one book called the Quran, and it challenged history. Anybody who's ever read it ends up saying, hey, there's something wrong with world history here. Isn't that called victory? It's like, for example, now you could this is on Wikipedia, you could check it, that the people in power will like to say ancient Egypt is ancient, thousands of years old and everything, and then they'll say there is the god, you know, you've heard of Isis, Osiris,
Right.
you know, and Horus. Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Now Osiris is the father of Horus. Horus or Horus. You'll say Horus if you're speaking in Egyptian, or Christ, or Krishna, Christ. Yes. So now the thing is, there is Osiris. Now the thing is, let's say it in the Egyptian language. Egyptian, in Egypt they speak Arabic anyway. Yeah. So when somebody says Osiris, yeah, you're looking at you know, European books, which on purpose they wrote Osiris through a Latin or Greek translation. Like instead of, you know, August, it's Augustus, or instead of July, it's Julius. Instead of Septem, it's Septimus. Yes, they've added these things on purpose to confuse people. It's to their advantage. So Osiris is Osiri. Yeah. Now the strange thing is, yeah, so these ancient Egyptians are saying, you know, Osiris is the king of gods or the son of God or whatever. Yeah. Now the strange thing is, yeah, nobody mentions this history, or no, this history is supposed to have been lost until Napoleon Bonaparte went to Egypt, which is a fake, but they say he went there, and then they say after this, we didn't know fully about Osiris until the 20th century, you know, found more hieroglyphics and translations. Now, or let's say Osiri, yeah, because it's not Greek, it's Egyptian. Now, the strange thing is, the Quran says something strange. It turns around and says this. It turns around and says the Jude or Judah or the Judaica, they have taken a man to be the son of God. And this man is called Osiri. I'm being serious. This is in the Quran. But wait, we've got a problem here now. Osiri, this is what they call ancient Egypt. But wait, these priests, the Quran says that they are the Jews. So now this is why when you look at these ancient Egypt, yes, and you see the baptism, yes, it's similar to the Catholic baptism or Christian, even the evangelical Protestant baptism. You'll notice what the popes wear on their head is similar to the ancient Egyptian one. Have you noticed these things?
Well, definitely there's many similarities, but it makes sense if it is all created by the same group that, you know, obviously it's similar, right?
Yeah. Right. But now the thing is, this is in my book called The Matrix. Let me send you a few pictures.
But then just to understand one thing, if you say they evacuated, why is there no, at least none that I can see, official authority or anything, or state, or however you want to call it, group, region, group of people
let me tell you this.
that would say this officially, you know?
Right. Wait, right. I'll get on to that. Have a look at the picture I've sent you.
Yeah, it's obvious,
these are a few pictures. Yeah, a few pictures. This is you know, Christianity and then ancient Egypt. Yes. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
The picture.
Yeah, it's
now
obvious,
I'm sending you, you know, Isis giving birth to the baby Horus or Horus. Horus is in, you know, what they say in English, but you know, it's actually Horus or Christ. What is the difference? Yes. So now the thing is, yes. So the thing is, nobody mentions this. The Quran mentions this. So now, but the strange thing is, the Quran says the Judah, or these so-called people who were the Jews, the original ones, they are the ones who took this as the Son of God. You see. So now this so-called ancient Egypt is not ancient then. And the Quran is already saying this. This is why. Yes.
Yes, so it certainly seems it comes down to this idea, just like you very well explained before.
Yeah, now the word Uzair in Europe is Uzair, or the Son of God. It turns around and says in the Quran that they made this Osiris, Ozer, you know, to be the son of God. This is where the term come from. Caesar, the Tsar of Russia. You see? You see? Yeah, the sons of God, the emperors are the sons of God.
All right.
The Tsar of Rome,
All
or
right.
Caesar. In English, we say Caesar, but it's not Caesar. It's actually the Tsar of Russia. You know, the Tsar, it's not Tsar or Khazar. Yeah, but yes. So the thing is, now the Quran says that this man, yes, called Zer, yes. Now, in modern biblical language, they say that this character is Ezra. Now, the book of Ezra, what do you call it, and Nehemiah, yeah, according to what Fomenko has shown, that we can't find them before the 16th or 17th century. So the history of Ezra is not thousands of years ago. So, and even Ezra in biblical times is not so long ago. So ancient Egypt cannot be so long ago. Yes, and the thing is, nobody mentioned this except the Quran. So this is why the Quran is something global, because one, it's talking about Attila the HUN, yes, and we're talking about you know, the Hunnu or the Hunsrik or the Germanic people, and who've got this character there, and it's saying that these people are fighting against, you know, the people who are bringing the Trinity and all these other things. And then it's turning around and saying the Jews are the ones who are doing this. So this means the Jews are the Judah, or the priests.
Yes.
Priests were the priests of Egypt. And ancient Egypt is not so ancient because it was around the similar time. You see? Yes. So now when Fomenko turns around and says all these timelines, yeah, Fomenko had to show thousands of different things and come to the bottom line. But all of this is in the summary in one book called the Quran. So this is why the world order sees the Quran as a threat. You see?
Yeah.
Because it's got all of this down in a summary. It's because when I first read it, I thought it sounded ridiculous. It's saying that the Jews, in English, it says the Jews have taken Ezra to be the son of God. But then I didn't realize in Arabic, it doesn't say Ezra. It says Ozer. Yes. And then I noticed in Egypt, it doesn't say Osiris. It says Ozer. And then I turned on and thought, damn, Wikipedia only gives it a small mention. Yes. But the Quran actually tells you this. Yes. And then there's the thing is, you know, so you go to Egypt. So then let's say if I came to Hungary, yes. So after I've read the Quran, this is when I could relate to that man in Hungary and understand and see, yeah, how he's been targeted by the world order from the other side, and how the Egyptians have been targeted with their false history. Yes, it's because in that one book, it mentions small pieces of history from everywhere in the world, that whoever created this book called the Quran was so smart that they made it so easy to memorize for children anywhere in the world. This is one. And another thing is, it's mysteriously survived a few centuries. So this means this is the oldest history that we've got. It means we haven't got anything else. Is there any other unbroken history that nobody has modified that you can find anywhere in the world? You could, Vietnam on the other side of the world. I could go to Vietnam, and then I can go to Portugal and find some of these Muslims from Al-Andalus who've been there, you know, since the Middle Ages, and they've memorized the Quran. Yeah. And I could compare it to somebody in Vietnam, and I'll find it to say the exact same thing, word for word, because they memorized it in their brain.
Right. So then they may speak the local language, but the meaning would be the same. Is this what you mean? Or because they would speak different languages, right?
No, I'm saying, for example, if you gave me the book, you know, Romeo and Juliet, William Shakespeare, it doesn't matter if somebody memorizes it in Russia and they don't speak English, and I memorize it in France and I don't speak English, but when we read it out, it sounds the same. It's exactly the same.
Right.
So the thing is, these people preserved this book. Now, whoever did this on a global level. This is something that people don't think about. This is a global project that the New World Order is a global project. And so are the people behind the Quran. That they did this to challenge the other side. Can you see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
Now we can go through all these thousands of manuscripts and on one side, and then we've got a problem. We're going to find so many forgeries, so many lies. And then on the other side, we've got one book which is challenging entire world history. And it is probably the only old document that we've got from the old world order that has been passed down unchanged, as far as I can tell, 300 years. As far as Fomenko has shown, up to 500 years and up to, or even up to 600 years. So this means this is the oldest document we've got. We haven't got anything else. The oldest verifiable document we've got in the world, or planet Earth, if you want to say it's a round ball. Now, do you see why this book is something else?
Definitely, yeah.
Because you can go to Nepal, yes, where the Himalayas are, Tibet, and then you'll see that they've got Muslims there in the amongst them, and then you'll turn around and think, what the hell is going on here? I mean, the Himalaya mountains, and there's these strange people here. They don't even understand what half the Quran says. They understand it half, and they're just passing it on. And they're saying this is a matter of life and death, but you must pass this down to the next generation because this has world history. This has the information, everything that happened from the beginning to the end of time. And this is what they're saying. This is what they're claiming. And there is no, if anything was important, any of the document, historical document was important, why has nobody cared or tried to preserve it? And the things that are important, yeah, that you will notice, like, let's say Hungary, that's in the middle of Europe, yeah, it's slowly dying now. But if you were if you went to if you met the people 30, 40 years ago when communism collapsed, yes, then you would see how important Attila the Hun was to them, and even half of it was nationalism by then. But if you remove the nationalism, you'll see many of the people that they will insist with their heart and say, no, our grandparents told us that this is real history. We can't delete it. We've got to save this. That Attila the Hun was fighting against Judah, yes, and the thing is, he was fighting against the Vatican. They are the enemy. Yes. Yes, and the thing is, they try to bring these people into politics, everything, turn them into crazy things, teach them in school different things, everything, until, it will become like France in 50 years. The people in France don't even know their own history. They don't even know anything. That Attila is, or like Germany, that it's just going to become a legend, like, King Thor of Germany. Or King Thor and Attila the Hun, they're exactly the same person. Yeah. So the thing is, this is what's going to end up happening. Yeah, it's like you'll say, how do you know that King Thor and King Thor or Adil or Adol, they're the same person? Yeah, you've got King Arthur. Yeah, Arthur. Yes, and the thing is, you've got King Arthur or Khan Arthur. Yeah, because the word king is a modern pronunciation. Yeah, Khan. Yeah, means horns, and then he's got the knights round the table, yeah, and they're fighting for God, yeah, and the thing is, the Holy Grail or the cup is very important to them. That nobody knows why this cup was so important to them, and this cup is important in the story of Attila the Hun, but nobody knows why. Yes, so the thing is that these things have stayed alive, but the thing is, they don't remember, and people don't remember, and all the people have been told is King Thor, there were barbarians. Yeah, King Thor or Adil or Attila, they were just barbarians. They were crazy. This, that, everything. Now, the thing is, in Europe, there's nobody left. I don't think there's anybody left apart from, maybe 10% of Hungarians at the most, who genuinely believe in the villages. They might have some Christianity mixed with it now, but who genuinely, they'll be willing to betray Christianity in 5 minutes if they knew what the truth is and they knew about Attila the Hun. I'm speaking about this today because it's very important. Now the rest of Europe might have forgotten the Germanic peoples, and the Scandinavians have forgotten, and they think their ancestors were barbarians. Yeah. And yes, somebody turned around and said, hey, you can make these wooden ships. Yeah, when I spoke with Andreas, I said, hey, why don't somebody make the wooden ships how they are described according to historians? Let me show you the way historians have described these Viking ships, that they had a cloth around it, yeah, and that the wooden ships, yeah, were sailing all the way to Miklagard, or the city of Michael, yeah, Constantinople, yeah. And these wooden ships, these people, they had their barrels of beer, yeah, and everything, yeah. And the way they've got it, and then they're just like savages. They're just, you know, like bloodsuckers going around killing people and everything. And then the thing is, that story is not realistic. Yes, you can make small wooden barges that can sail from Scandinavia to England. Yes, I'm not disputing that. I'm disputing the official story. Now, if I didn't make it clear, you know, maybe that was a mistake, but you know, or maybe the other person is thinking that there was an entire civilization of people jumping in boats, just pissheads, drunk, you know, just idiots.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But that's a
yeah.
natural thing you would do as a oppressor faction to make the people believe that their own past and ancient culture is worthless, and if anything, something to let go of, you
Where
know?
are they doing that right now in the world?
Well,
That
everywhere,
you
I want
can't
to
see them
say.
doing it. No, 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 no. It sounds like everywhere, but where are they doing that the most? In the Islamic world. These people are
Hmm.
backwards barbarians.
Right, of
They're
course,
horrible
yes,
with
of
their
course.
wives. They're violent, this, that. Do you
The-
know something? Domestic violence is higher in non-Muslim societies compared to Muslim societies. This doesn't mean I'm saying an Islamic society is better, but actually domestic violence is lower over there. Actually, oh, you might not believe this, but my friend, he married an Egyptian girl. Yeah. And do you know what? I was so surprised because I met a lot of Egyptians who were in England, and I couldn't believe the way the women boss their husbands
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
The men actually have to wait. The way I'm saying it, they actually have to work and provide for the for
Mm,
the family and children. I'm laughing at this because in England, the women or half the women cannot get the men to provide for the woman and the children, because he'll say, you've got your income, I've got mine, and the state provides
yeah.
benefits and things like this. I actually thought this is a joke. The way it's like, what I would see is that when they're in public, the woman wouldn't talk. But once you got to know these people, I actually thought, what the hell is going on here? These women are like tyrants.
It's very interesting. Not what it
Sorry,
seems, but
no, no, no.
just
They're
to
nice
understand.
people.
Yes, but
They're nice people.
just
These
to
Egyptian
understand now
women.
this whole idea about the Quran and of its relevance. Let me ask you in a stupid way. Why um, did I have to wait until I get to talk to you, for which I'm very grateful? And why is there no, let's say, I don't know, the state of Sudan, I mean, also got recently destroyed, but any place where they would like put forward these ideas and just tell the West, not just sneer at them, but actually tell them, look, this history, this and that. Why is this not being articulated? Because they also all seem to have puppet governments. Or what's the
Okay.
problem?
Okay. Do you know, I spoke with somebody from Morocco last week. Yeah. And because they've got the World Cup and all this. And as you will notice that, you know, for the first time in history, an African nation, you know, got to the semi-finals, and they had their greatest victory on the 19th day of the World Cup.
Of
And
course.
their goal scorer was the football player. I forgot his name, but he was with the number 19 shirt,
Great.
Nesri or some name. So I was speaking to someone like that, and the thing is, I was turning around and thinking, I spoke to them about Islam, and they said they read the Quran, you know, very often, things like that. And the thing is, you know, especially once a year, and they read the entire Quran in Ramadan. And I said, have you ever considered what it actually says? And then it actually turned into a debate whereby I turned around and thought, they don't. I was actually upset with that person, but I've got no right to be upset with them, because maybe they didn't realize that they've got some important information, because it is so important that the Quran is telling us the story that this so-called God, or the sun God, or the son of God, called Osiris, yes, that we're finding in ancient Egypt, yes, was you know, by the Judaica, or what was
Hmm.
called the Jews in the Middle Ages. And the thing is, Nobody in the world has mentioned this, that we've been taught, in schools and universities, and we imagine that, this Osiri or Osiris, yes, is something else. And we're trying to find the links between Osiri, the sun god, and Zoroastrianism. Many people are trying to find these strange links and they can't find it. And Wikipedia has only written a small part about it. But the thing is, somebody who reads the Quran, will try and say, hey, I read this in the Quran. Yeah, Osiri. That can't be that long ago. You see?
But still, why would you say still is there no organized group or anyone that's putting forward this information in this straightforward fashion? Why is
I don't know. The thing is, the Quran says something strange. It turns around and says that when a group of people betray God, God can, if he wants, he'll take his path away from them and give it to another people. Now, the thing is, even in the Old Testament, in biblical history and the Quran, it says that the children of Israel and many other people, they betrayed God several times in the past. Now, what is meant by betrayal? Betrayal means something like, hey, that God gave them a society, a civilization, an economy, and everything, and then the people abused it. And then what they did is they had slavery. They were doing other things. It's like we've got beautiful places right now. We've got Europe is beautiful. I live in Europe. It's beautiful. It's amazing. One of the best places to be in. So is America, Canada, and Japan, South Korea, Taiwan is just like a paradise type A city. It's amazing. And Australia, many places you could go to. Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, it's amazing. The entire country of Malaysia is just so amazing. But it turned around and says there were civilizations in the past. The people weren't grateful. They wasted food. They wasted resources. Wasting resources is like, for example, right now, everybody thinks the New World Order itself is guilty. They are feeding our selfish desires. Yeah. Like I said to you, hey, we could have developed the countryside. Now, in the Quran, it turns around and says that if you are fighting against the people in power, don't worry. They've got difficulties, same like you. So the thing is, they are afraid and they are worried. So now the thing is, can you imagine that they've got to satisfy the public in Canada or the United States, the electorate, and everywhere?
Yes.
Yeah, that if I was the ruler, even I would think of having these, fake politicians, fake everything. Yeah, I would, because the thing is, the problem is not the people in power only. It's the people. The people just don't want to see any common sense. It's like the rest of Europe will. I can imagine many Europeans who could be listening into this saying, who the hell is Attila the HUN? Who said Hungary is important? Why don't they take a look at Europe and see what Hungary was, or what Hunsrik was, and then they're going to turn around and say, oh, these Anglo-Saxon people in Latin America, oh, they're Germans. Oh no, but they're Hunnu Germans, Hunsrik. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, so you can see that there's something is wrong there. Something is wrong there, that they're going to separate somebody. It's like, how can somebody turn around and say, I'm Welsh and you're English, or I'm Dutch and you're German? Who decided on the border? Strasbourg?
It always seemed like a joke to me, these artificial separations and so on.
Yeah, very Strasbourg to Düsseldorf. Yeah, they're going to say, I'm German and he's French. Yeah. But then you're going to turn around and say, going from New York to Philadelphia, I'm American and so's he.
Yeah.
Who says? You're a different race. So what they've done is in Europe, within 10, 20, 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, they've got all these nations, and then they're telling us, oh, he's a totally different race, totally different people.
Yeah.
Things like this, and it's just invented history. But anyway, so the thing is, Attila the Hun was very important, and this history is very important. I've written a little about it in the book Atlantis, but I'm going to write about it more, because I actually felt very sad. Yes, I actually felt very sad. Yes, thinking, damn, that even today there's 10% of the people left in the villages in Hungary. Yes, and these people, and in Romania, in Western Romania, these people are going to lose this history within 50 years. their children are going to schools and they're just thinking it's fairy tales. They're going to lose this history. Yes, it's because somebody else is going to tell them, "Ah, have a look at here. We've got records that were written by these, priests, Austrian priests or Jesuit priests or Vatican priests or monks. This is the true version." Who said? Who said? Yeah. So if any Hungarians are listening, I hope they can spread the news. They never killed Attila the Hun. They're dreaming, and they can go to hell. Those people, if any of those people, on the other side of history have heard what I've just said, yeah, to hell with you. Yeah, because Attila the Hun, I know they couldn't kill him. The thing is, the history is not a fake either. And the thing is, they're trying to tell us, he came from one side of the world to the other. Yeah, and he was traveling and he was doing all these things, but no, he defeated everybody. But oh no, the priests of His Holiness the Papa, he couldn't defeat them. Yeah, he had to withdraw from their walls. Oh, he just wanted money. He was a barbarian, and then in the end they killed him. These people are dreaming. Yeah. You know what? To be honest, the other side of history, yeah, it's not just villages in Romania. Many people know this, and in other places where they say Attila didn't die, but it's in the Quran also. So now the thing is, in Romania, in Transylvania, yeah, there's a lot of history there, and the Turks preserved this history. The thing is, Vlad Tepes and all these other characters, whoever they were, saying that these blood drinkers and everything, these people, what they did is, they totally oppressed and totally got rid of these people to destroy this history. Yeah. So the thing is, who said they destroyed this history? They destroyed it in one small province called Hungary in Europe. They got a long way to go. And and if the Muslims don't speak up, the Quran itself says God will take this message to somebody else, because there's people who've studied flamenco.
Somebody will pick up the phone. Yes, for sure.
You've picked it up.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm very grateful to you, David. Really, I'm very grateful.
You've got this information from the Quran in your brain and your heart. And the Muslims are reading it, but I don't know what they're doing with it. Yeah, you know what I mean. The thing is, or maybe they don't know what to do.
I mean, let me just bring up one example, because history always, to me, when I looked at it, has always seemed so contrived, even with the official story of the conversion of Hungary. Supposedly it happened 1,000 years ago, and suddenly everyone was a good Christian. It's like, what is this
They're
story,
dreaming.
It's like
If anybody was in Hungary in 1980, yes, the thing is, they needed to bring communism. Do you know why? Because if anybody checks the history of the Austrian Empire, they lied and they said there was the uprising with Kossuth or something in the 1840s. Yeah, and everything. This history is a fake. It didn't exist. Then they tried to say that there was Hungarian nationalism. No, there was people who wanted to create the Hungarian Sobor. You know Sobor?
You mentioned about it.
Yeah. Parliament. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, but that's because the way that there was people in Kosovo, they wanted their parliament, but both sides were controlled by the people in power. But it's because this Vatican, or this New World institution called the Habsburg Empire, failed. Yes, and those people that they forced to convert, they couldn't get the rest of them. And they couldn't get the rest of them, so they needed a new weapon.
Yeah.
Along came communism.
Yeah.
Then they'll say, hey, we're not teaching Christianity here, but we're also not teaching Attila the Hun.
We're just destroying all the history. I mean, the communists are especially renowned for
that.
So yeah.
Yes, because the thing is, if these people cared about Christianity, they'll keep it. So they didn't care about Christianity. But in Hungary anyway, and in Western Romania, their main target was the history of Attila the Hun. Because the history of Attila the Hun is this: there is one God and the thing is, many villages mixed together Christianity, but eventually, yes, people would have woke up and said, hey, Christianity has got nothing to do with us, and this Son of God character has got nothing to do with Attila the Hun. let's go back to where our great ancestor was, and he reached a great height because he used the name of God. This is what the teaching was. And then when communism collapsed, yeah, they created these political parties to pretend and say, hey, we will represent the Hungarian way, join our party.
Yeah, yeah.
But these parties didn't represent anybody. So that then if you join the party, then they will know who's the best speaker, who's the most outspoken, control them, corrupt them. Yeah. Let's say, anything he does wrong, expose it, because nobody's perfect. In other words, to destroy the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and turn them into anti-Semites so that they don't notice the difference between the judges and Judah and Judaica, yes, and modern Israel, yes, and then show them the synagogue that's in downtown Budapest, and show that these people and everything were behind the Austro-Hungarian Empire. No. Those people who were the Jews in Hungary at that time, yeah, many of them, yeah, you could say were wealthy, but so were many Hungarians. So were many Germans. There were many Germans in Hungary in the 1920s. They were wealthy also. So now the thing is, the Jewish people who were in Hungary, many of them were planning to run. So they were planning to run to go to live somewhere else because they wanted to preserve the one God system. Yeah, that these people knew, hey, that they brought Catholicism, they're going to bring something else next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they ran in good time. During World War II, many of them didn't make it. Yes, and many of these so-called Jewish people in Hungary, many of them were obviously mixed marriages with Hungarian people. So the thing is, what was Judaism at that time in Hungary? This is another question, because there is many people from the villages in Hungary who will turn around and say that whoever the Nazis were or whoever the communists, they were targeting people who believed in one God or this other system. That hey, if you were a Catholic and you followed the priests, even if they have communists, yeah, you were still okay. Yes, but the thing is, if you had anything to do with the old system, anything to do with the Hunnu system or with Attila the HUN and something further back, they classified you as mad and other things. Do you know these things about the communist time?
Well, I didn't know that they were targeting this, but just to make it very, very clear, the main difference between whatever classical ancestor system we may have had and the new modern systems is what I like to call, for example, Jesus supremacy, or however else you want to call it, that you would start basically giving an excuse that some people can dominate other people. That's the basic belief system change, isn't it? And the old system would say, no, all the prophets are equal, all the humans are equal, no one has the right to prescribe anything to anybody. Am I getting this correctly? Because this is really the main important difference, right?
Yes. Now the thing is, this is what you've just said is that Hungarian man that I found online. He said the same thing to me. Prophets, professors, or men of God who brought science, technology, and institutions and rule of law. Yes, based on the heavenly system. Yes, they were all equal. Now the thing is, the Quran says the exact same thing.
Exactly. Yes, this is the one thing that is known in the West, that they claim Jesus was just a prophet. That's always a contentious thing. He was not special. He was just a prophet, just like Muhammad. And one more thing I'd like to ask you. You mentioned about
Yes.
Hinduism and the whole issue with the manuscripts. And what I always wondered about, I'm sure you know about the Society for Krishna Consciousness by this AC Bhagavad guy or something, very popular. And he's like the main, let's say, Hinduism influence in America and many other places. And only when I was reading the Bhagavad Gita by him and his commentary, I couldn't keep reading it because I always felt like there is a strange thing inserted, which always, it's not very clear and it's convoluted, but always makes it seem like, yeah, but there is this personality of Krishna, Supreme Godhead, the Supreme Godhead of is Krishna.
Yeah.
And it's all nice and it's all a good idea and many nice stories and so on, but it always seems to insert this strange differentiation, like, yeah, but you are not really like that. So there is a difference.
Okay,
And
now
And that this is just briefly, that this is the main thing they also try to push here, is again to put one idea of a personality on top, which is like the better son of God, and everyone else is somehow less or strange or something. And this would again justify this domination system. And this may be why it became so popular, because they pushed this version of these books because they knew it will insert this belief system fragment, if you can see what I'm saying.
Okay, now the thing is, many people have never been to Indian villages today. And in some of these Indian villages, yes, that some people that you could go from one village to another, and within each family in each village, they don't even understand somebody who's living half a kilometer away or 1 kilometer away. I'm being
All I can
serious to
say
you,
is
in
I met
language
people
wise.
in India, or one guy especially in India, in Goa, in Arambol, and he was there as a cook. He came from some village in the south or something. And of course, he
Ah,
didn't.
have you been to Goa?
Yeah. Catholic Goa.
Yeah.
And I just
Oh,
wanted briefly, just wanted to
okay.
mention that this guy, he couldn't even speak he couldn't even speak proper Hindi or something, or had some like special
Yeah.
language from his countryside and
Yeah.
so on. So there's many
Yes, they speak
variations.
Marathi dialect in
And
Goa.
also,
Okay,
of course,
now,
just
now
one
if
more
you've
thing,
been to
sorry,
Goa,
just one
that's good.
one more thing, just
Yeah.
with Pakistan, which is the other suspicious thing. Why did they split off and they are Muslim? You know, like this also suspicious. I thought about this while translating, but please go on about Goa.
And they speak the same language in India called Hindi, but they call it Urdu. Yes, in Pakistan.
Right.
Do you know this? They speak the same language
Not
as the
not in that
national
detail.
language of India.
Okay, it's the same. Okay, I didn't know it's the same.
It's the same language, but they on purpose give it a different name. Same like in Croatia, they'll call it Croatian, and in Serbia, they'll call it
Right. This
Serbian.
I
But
know.
anybody who
This I know.
knows,
Yes, this I know. That it's
it's the
basically the
same
same. Yeah.
language.
Yeah. But also
No,
that
it
they
is the same
continue
language, but they're changing it on
and even
purpose.
just recently, just very briefly, I'll mention this. I heard from one individual living in those regions back then, not only that they were even then finding ways basically to do medical extraction or human trafficking in communism, of course, but also that up to this day, of course, they keep changing the words for different things to completely strange names. So this is an ongoing process, of course, that can be
Okay,
observed very easily.
now, you've asked me several things, so I don't want to get lost from the
Yeah,
several
sorry.
things. Let's go to India now. So now the thing is, the Indian national language, they call it Indian or Hindi in India. But when the British were there, the British used to call it Urdu, or Urdu from what we know today. Yes, because in Pakistan, they say, I speak Urdu. Now, if you look at this word Urdu, yeah, it's spelled Urdu, or Rothia.
Uh-huh.
Yes, like Rothschild.
Yeah.
Rothschild means somebody who came from Russia. I'm being serious. The word red color is comes from the word Rosh. The word Rosh comes from the word Reichstag. The word Reich, yes, actually, when you look in Arabic, it means prophethood. Yes. So now the thing is, the British were promoting the Hindi and the Urdu language. Now, do you know what is the strange thing? And when you talk about these gurus, these pundits, and all of them, yes, they didn't exist in India 200 years ago. Not even
Uh-huh.
one.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
can't find a
Uh-huh.
single Hindu priest. Not
Yes.
even one. And then mysteriously, there's all these people who were educated in Spanish schools, British schools, Dutch schools, everything else, and they're getting employed, and they're called pundits and gurus. And then the British Empire, the Dutch Empire, it's not an empire, it's a business, like
Yeah.
Walmart, the East
Dutch East
India
India
Company.
Company. Yeah.
Walmart, let's call it the Indian Walmart Company. Yeah. Or let's say Huawei is targeting Europe. So now I'm sending out all these pundits, and I'll say, you go out there, preach this new system religion. And while they're doing that, yes, what do I do in Europe? I'm the master. I open a few Sanskrit schools. They're in Germany, Italy, France, England. Yes. And what are we doing? We're writing down manuscripts. And then in India, the Indians have no manuscripts. No pundits and gurus exist. But now mysteriously, I am the British, the French, the Spanish, and the Italians. I opened two libraries, one near Mumbai, in the city of Pune, or Bombay, near Bombay, and another one near the River Ganges in Banarasi or Varanasi. They changed the pronunciation recently, so I'm pronouncing it in both, near Calcutta. In both museums, I am the master. I've invaded that country, and I've claimed I've just found all these manuscripts. And if anybody asks me, I'm going to deny it, that they were not written as essays from the students in the 1860s and 70s in Germany or Italy or France or England, just their essays. Do you see?
I mean, with the Bhagavad
And
Gita
every
and so
single
on,
manuscript
it's
is
a lot of,
collected by me.
yeah, it's a
Huh?
lot of essays. I mean, especially what maybe seems strange about the Hindu stuff is that it's so
Oh no! Oh
much,
wait!
you
Do you
know.
know? Do you know? The thing is, what many people have not ever thought of this, right? There's 19,000. Yeah, check out the funny number: 19,000 manuscripts of the New Testament in other languages apart from Latin. Now the thing is, I'll give you an example now. If I've got I've got 10 schools. I'm running 10 schools, only 10. I'm the Vatican. These schools are open for 100 years. Every year, the students have to write a thesis. Don't forget, we're talking about students who are aged 20, 21, monks in the universities, 16th century. Yes. Now, the thing is, in 100 years, I've got 500 students per building or 1,000 students per building. I've only got 10, so that's 10,000. 10,000 essays a year, master's degree thesis.
Yeah.
Imagine how many
That would get me
manuscripts I'm
there.
going to have
Yeah.
just from 10 buildings. Because I'll give you an example in Manchester University. Yeah. I've volunteered many times, and I'm part of many societies there before. Nowadays, I don't bother after the COVID lockdowns. After the COVID things, I thought, forget it, I can't be bothered anymore. Yeah, the thing is, there's that many manuscripts from the students. Think in those days they had to write it. The students had to get their own paper. Yes, I'm talking about 17th, 18th century. This is where they found all these manuscripts. You see?
Right.
Can you see it now, or you cannot?
Yeah. So basically, you just need, even a small group that starts preparing everything, and then you just publish it as history. I mean, makes sense.
No, well, this is why in every city in Europe that you go to, all the main cities, they're going to turn around and say, this is our collection of manuscripts. We've got 10,000 here. And you ask them who wrote these manuscripts, they'll tell you. They don't hide it. They say these are the monks, the university students who wrote them
Right.
down.
We have to
I mean,
understand
seriously,
maybe
they tell
just
you
the
this.
simple idea to understand like monk is a nice term, but it's like university student back then. They were
No, it
producing these
is. It
things.
is.
Yeah. Yes,
They
of
don't
course.
deny it. Yeah,
Yes.
this is in my book, Skull and Bones or The Last Crusade. It's in one of them too. Have you read those books, Skull and
Yes.
Bones
Yes.
or The Last Crusade? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I put it down in such a simple way because it's hard to believe. It's like when I went to many of these European libraries that are inside churches and museums, it was very obvious. I got used to the answers. Who wrote these manuscripts? The monks. Who
Yeah.
were the monks? Historians, and they call them historians. So this means, let's say there's a Chinese student who's just written down about his thesis about the Chinese economy. He's a historian.
Yeah.
After 200 years when
Yeah.
he's dead. But wait, these students only wrote down what they were told to write.
Of course.
And
Otherwise, you
the
don't
thing
get to
is,
graduate, Very simple.
yes, and now the thing is what Fomenko points out, and other people like me, is that these students made mistakes, and they wrote down the truth sometimes. This is how we know true history. It's like, for example, there's the Siege of Vienna. Yes, the student,
Right.
whoever is drawing that map. Yes, yeah, he's showing the army that's come. Yes, and the thing is, his job is to show Muslims, but he probably didn't realize, and he actually showed the real army that actually came, and it's got crosses and moons and stars. So the thing is, Fomenko also showed that Christianity and Islam was actually one religion only until a few centuries ago.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it separated in Constantinople first, then the Vatican ran to Rome, and then when they were in the West, they started their war with a few of the greedy, judges or Judah or priests. And then these people raised armies with greedy people, who thought, hey, I want these houses, I want that land, I want this, I want that, I want to be the boss. And then because the thing is, if you check through all the Vatican records, all they did was they offered people land. They wrote it down saying, hey, anything you take, you've become the master, turn them all into slaves.
Yeah.
Slavery means that you dominate them and rule them. And that's how they set up the New World Order. And then they went east. Yeah, they went east and then they went southeast towards the Balkans.
Yeah.
And now they're going to, from there, as you know, the battle is continuing. It's taking a few centuries. Now they're in the Middle East. Yes. So the thing is, you can see that's how it's going. And the thing is, who said they won? Because the thing is, in Hungary, it looks like they've won because wherever these people do these things, you can check in whichever country, that the people rise up and then slowly, eventually in the end, they've forgotten what they rose up for and they lost the original history.
Yeah.
So now the thing is, it's only a matter of time. It's a matter of time. Even if there's, just a few people left that, don't know if any of these Muslims, I've heard there's quite a lot of Muslims in Hungary. I don't know what they're playing at. They could just sit down and talk to a few Hungarians and say, hey, this is your history. It's in our book. We don't know why we're carrying it. But the reason is why they're carrying it. They don't even know why they're carrying it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yes. This is because, so now the thing is the Quran a book from God, or was it the political opposition of the New World Order?
Honestly, by now, both seems fine to me.
Yeah, it is. Of course, it's fighting the people who have created the New World Order. That's why they preserve that history. Now, the thing is, the Quran itself claims that this is a message from God. Now, I'm not going to bring religion into it. Yes, so this is why I've mentioned before, like I said to you, hey, some people have said King Solomon wrote the Quran. Some people have said Moses wrote the Quran. But the thing is, Moses came with a Quran or something to read for his time. Yeah. Now, the thing is, the current Quran, yes, the current one, yes, is, there's a bit too much evidence and too much history to show that a man called Maha Emet or Mahamed, yes, Maha Emet means the great truth or something like that. That this man has got something to do with this book, even though the Muslims say he didn't write that book. Yeah, but it's generally known that this book came through him. Yes. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, there are some researchers in France who say that Solomon, canonized, the law. But the thing is, when we look at Eastern Europe, even in Hungary, that the villages had their canon law. Yes, and in England we had canon law.
Yeah.
Yes, this canon law was global. But then they're trying to say that it was the Turks who brought this Kanuni Suleiman, canon law. But then we've got it strange because this Solomon never went to England. So it's impossible according to official history. Yes, but then Anatoly Fomenko shows that the Solomon of the Ottoman Empire was King Solomon himself. Yes, and he was a global ruler. But then the thing is, he could have had a legal system, but it doesn't mean that he compiled or put together the Quran. Even though there are some researchers who do say that, who do say it, they're still doing more investigations on it. And when they have more evidence, we'll see what they have to say. But at the moment, they don't have enough evidence. Yes. So I mentioned that with Andreas in a conversation I was having with him, but he didn't let me finish that. He had his many questions. So just in case you heard me say that and I didn't finish. So the thing is, this is why I noticed that I had to cut Andreas off, because I thought it's going to mislead somebody. Because that statement that I said about King Solomon was 2 years ago. Can you imagine if hundreds of people who've heard that, they could be imagining, thinking, hey, David's done a lot of research. I've read his books. Now, he said something about King Solomon, and the Quran and some researchers. But this doesn't mean that I supported or agreed or endorsed their statement. I'm just stating that there's some people who are researching that, but you know,
Of
they
course, I
haven't got
mean,
any
with a
conclusive
topic
evidence.
as complex and important as this, you know, our true heritage, history, and beingness, and so on, everyone has to do their own research, you know. So I'd
Now
like
the
to
thing is, in
thank you for
Hungary,
making it
in
easier for
Hung,
everybody. Yes.
yeah, in Hungary anyway, a big mistake they made was they should have made an oral tradition, like the Quran is an oral book that people should have memorized word for word the actual history, because the thing is Attila's history has been targeted. Yeah, and the thing is, if they did, then today it would have been kept alive. But you know, I'm guessing it's about 10% now that is still, you know, in the countryside who are still poor. And people call them poor, but you know, I don't call them poor, but people classify them as poor and as backwards. But these people have preserved a tradition, something that's special about you know, Attila. And who knows, you know, one day if you know, if one day that they realize that they've been lied to.
Yeah.
You know, if they've been lied to, it just sounds so ridiculous that we've got somebody like Attila the Hun. Even in the story that they've told us, he sounds so pious that he's not greedy, that he
Hmm.
doesn't want to drink from a gold cup. That you can't even hide. You can lie about the story as much as you want, but certain things will still remain. And there's, because so many students wrote about it. Yes, you know, they all wrote different things, and you know, nothing good. But you know, from many of the things you can see that he was modest.
Mm.
Yes, he cared about people. He was attacking people who had power. Yes, he was taking money from them as a ransom, but he didn't keep the money himself, and he was giving out the gold even to the guests.
Hmm.
Yeah, he showed that he wasn't greedy, and he was fighting against the people in power. And then, regardless of the manuscripts, because all these villages in Hungary, they've never read a single manuscript, and they don't know anything about official history. They've passed it down for, at least you can trace them back for at least 200-300 years, that they've passed this history down. Somebody called Attila the Hun existed, and he was a man of God. Now, if we've got this story in Siberia, and if we've got it in Kenya, in Africa, in the Quran, that there is a man of God called Attila the Hun. If we've got this in Vietnam and in Tibet, in the Himalayas, yes, that the Muslims in Nepal are saving this story, then I don't think the Hungarians are wrong. I think that they're 100% right. There was a great man called Attila the Hun, yes, and that he was a man of God with great character and great morals. This is what I believe. I hope you can translate this to Hungarian. And I encourage Hungarians to read the Quran, anybody who wants to know more about Attila the Hun. And they said they killed him. Same like they said Jesus Christ, they said, we killed him.
Mm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Because they tried to show
Right,
that God
right,
has no power. Yeah,
right. Good point. Yeah. Hmm.
you know what I mean. Yeah, this is something common that they've been saying for centuries about many things. Oh, we killed him, and you know. So the thing is, they're dreaming. Anyway, Raphael, let's leave it at that. But I hope
Thank
you
you.
could do a Hungarian translation on this. Yeah, or with Hungarian subtitles or
Yes, we'll
something.
see. I'll
You know.
forward it. We'll see what we can do. Yeah. So just
Yeah.
now,
Oh,
you're.
who knows? YouTube. I don't know how YouTube subtitles work. Maybe they'll work.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit, but also now, just to let you know, your interview with Andreas, Skull and Bones and Common Cannibals, is going to be released in German. So
In German, yeah.
finally, I'm very happy about
Heinz
this
gets
because I
fingers.
think Germans will be very
Yeah.
surprised to hear this, you know, and the propeller and Mohammed and so on and the history. I think
Well,
it's.
the Germans should know there is no such thing as a Germanic race or something like that. Because what about the Hunsrik?
Hmm.
And why are they called Hunnu, Huns, and then Rick? What about them? And why do the Germans have the history of Thor and Thor, and that's the same as Attila? And why do they have the Scandinavian Viking history of their great king with the two horns?
Hmm.
Yes, why?
All the
Yeah.
same story, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the same story, same people, same civilization. Yeah, it's like the same like in the Middle East today, they've created borders, and then the football, the sports, one person's going to say, I'm Algerian, you're Moroccan. In the end, their dialects and things, in 100 years, they'll become something else. And they'll think that hey, we've got nothing in common. No, nothing, when actually they were brothers. Yeah. Anyway, Raphael, let's call it a
Thank
day,
you.
and we'll talk some other time. Okay,
Thank
yes.
you
Have a
very
good
much.
day.
Thank you.
Okay, you too. Okay, bye.